Have you ever wondered what the world would be like if World War II never ended? It's a chilling thought. But let's dive into this alternate history. Imagine it's not 2024, but 19-something. Still, the war that was supposed to end in 1945 just kept going. What would our lives look like? First, the geopolitical map would be unrecognizable. Instead of the United Nations, we'd have entrenched military alliances in a perpetual state of war. The world would be split into heavily fortified blocks, likely the Allies versus the Axis powers. With vast, desolate no-man's land separating them, there would be no Cold War as we knew it. Because the hot war never stopped, the constant conflict would mean national borders are fluid, changing with every major offensive. Countries, as we know them, might not exist, swallowed into larger, militarized empires. The very idea of a peaceful, interconnected global community would be a distant, almost mythical concept. Technologically, the world would be both advanced and terrifyingly backward. All scientific research, every brilliant mind, would be funneled into one thing: military innovation. We'd likely see hyper-advanced weaponry far beyond what we have today. Imagine drone swarms darkening the skies, eye-controlled battle tanks, and maybe even early forms of space-based weapons. The race for the ultimate superweapon would be relentless. However, civilian technology would be frozen in the 1940s. No internet, no smartphones, no commercial air travel. Your daily life would be filled with propaganda posters, not social media feeds. The radio would be your primary source of news, broadcasting state-controlled updates from the front lines. Innovation for comfort, communication, or entertainment would be seen as a frivolous waste of resources. Society itself would be fundamentally reshaped by decades of unending war. Generation after generation would be born into a world where their only purpose is to serve the war effort. Conscription wouldn't be a temporary measure. It would be a permanent way of life for every able-bodied person. Children would be raised on rations, trained in military drills from a young age, and taught that the enemy is an inhuman monster. The arts, culture, and individual expression would be suppressed, replaced by a monolithic culture of patriotism and sacrifice. The psychological toll would be immense. How could you plan for a future, fall in love, or raise a family when an air raid siren could sound at any moment? The constant stress, fear, and loss would become the normal human condition. Concepts like freedom and personal choice would be luxuries no one could afford. The economy would be a command and control war economy, permanently. Every factory would produce tanks, bullets, or uniforms. Farming would be collectivized and optimized solely to feed the army and the workforce. There would be no consumer market to speak of. Your job, your home, and your daily rations would be assigned by the state. The environmental cost would be catastrophic. Vast areas of the planet would be rendered uninhabitable by constant bombing, chemical weapons, and the relentless exploitation of natural resources to fuel the war machine. Pollution would be rampant, with no regulations to stop it. The planet itself would bear the deep, permanent scars of our endless conflict. Now, let's consider the human element on a more personal level. What would your daily life be like? You'd wake up not to an alarm clock, but likely a factory whistle or a barracks bugle. Your breakfast would be whatever ration was available that week. You'd go to your assigned job, whether in a munitions plant, the code-breaking center, or on a farm, working long hours under strict supervision. Entertainment would be government-approved films glorifying your nation's soldiers or radio plays about heroic victories. You'd live in constant fear of spies, collaborators, and the dreaded knock on the door from the secret police. Trust would be a rare commodity. And what about the end? Would there even be one? In this scenario, the war becomes a self-perpetuating system. It's no longer about ideology or territory. It's simply the way the world works. The military-industrial complexes on all sides would have an interest in keeping the conflict going. Generations would pass, and the original reasons for the war would be forgotten, replaced by a simple, brutal reality. We fight because we have always fought. Perhaps the only end would be total exhaustion, a point where all sides have depleted their resources and manpower to such an extent that they can no longer wage effective war. Or More terrifyingly, the development of a weapon so powerful that its use would mean the annihilation of everyone, a final, silent end to a war that never should have been. This thought experiment is a stark reminder of how lucky we are. The world we live in, for all its flaws, was built on the foundation of peace that followed World War II. It shows us that peace is not the default state of humanity. It's something that must be actively built, maintained, and cherished. The sacrifices made by previous generations gave us a chance to build a different world, one where we can dream of more than just survival. Let's not forget the price of that peace. Thanks for watching and exploring this alternate reality with me. If you found this interesting, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's biggest what-ifs. See you in the next one.